Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 412. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Offering support to Black women through education, coaching, mentorship, and inspiration is her passion and focus as the founder CEO of OMG Women Outreaching Women, OMG W.O.W. Welcome, Peggy White.
Hi, Dr. Frances. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
You are so welcome. I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Oh, well, thank you so much. And again, I appreciate this opportunity. I'm Peggy White, and I like the audience to know that I am the founder and the CEO of OMG Women Outreaching Women. Yes, OMG W.O.W for short. The OMG we put in front of the women outreaching women on purpose. It is, oh my God, because we put God first in everything that we do. He is our foundation. And I know I sound like a pitch and I sound like a commercial, but that's just really the essence of OMG and what we offer to our cohorts, our members, our community. We are supporting Black women to high levels of success. And we're doing that through education and mentorship, as you mentioned, through 5 areas. Our 5 pillars are finance, relationships, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and health. If you take the first letters of each one of those words, you get the word fresh, F-R-E-S-H. So we are taking a fresh report to support Black women to high levels of success, offering them the opportunity to bridge the equity gap among Black women. We're offering a safe space that they can come and tell their amazing stories, start their businesses, get the mentorship that they need in those areas. And we are also educating the community on the status of Black women. It is all about bridging the equity gap. That's not a lot about me, but that is a lot about what I represent.
Why Black women?
Black women have the highest rate of, if you look at different ethnic groups, of education. We're ranking high in the amount of education that we get. We are planted and rooted among the employed. So we're most employed, whether we're employed or underemployed, we are still employed. But yet we have the lowest average income of any other group in a year. Some of the stats we talk about is it takes a year and 9 months for a Black woman to make the same amount of money as a white man. And when we look at all of the other gaps in health, wellness, opportunities for relationships, we're usually the head of household. We have a lot of gaps and issues, but yet we have it going on. We get out, we do our work among corporations. We do 150% of the work at our best, but we're not paid equally. And so what we're trying to do is make this known to the communities so that we can help to bridge that equity gap. And the other point I'd like to make is I want to make sure that we are educating ourselves as Black women to be able to generate generational wealth so that we're able to pass that along to the next generations. The whole concept is to bridge the equity gap among Black women because we, at this point, are lacking in this area.
If someone is interested in connecting, how would they connect with your organization?
OMG Women Outreaching Women. They would connect with us through our membership and mentorship program. So they can reach out to OMG WOWHQ, which is our website, .org, omgwowhq.org. They can find out about us. They can join our membership program. Our membership program is called the Fresh Program. It is a $34.95 membership opportunity. They would be introduced into a fresh network platform, and they would be able to commune with other members. They get content on all of the fresh pillars, the finance, the relationship, the entrepreneurship, the spirituality, and health. And they can also get to join many of our educational groups, and they can get one-on-one mentorship counseling.
Your program, is it locally, globally, national? How does that work?
Our program is national. And so anyone who is an 18-year-old Black woman, 18 years or older, can join our membership. Anybody, women in the United States.
There are so many brands and businesses, Peggy, that are dominating. Talk about a brand or business that's dominating that you admire and why.
I think about, it's interesting because I'm thinking about a lot of different brands in terms of who we know. I like specific brands that are focused directly on Black women and educating them and inspiring them. And I'm thinking about the Essence brand, Essence magazine, in terms of their ability to have sustained themselves over time and the opportunity that they present to support Black women in particular, or Black people in particularly in the United States. I like the color of the Essence magazine. I like how they present Black people in positive images. I like the education that they're providing, the platforms that they present in the community. I like that Essence magazine brand.
What problem exists in the world today that you'd like to solve?
Again, we talked about this equity gap among Black women. I would love to be able to offer the opportunity for Black women to be able to start businesses, make them successful, and receive the necessary capital that they need to sustain those businesses, along with the education and mentorship support. I would love to solve the problem of being able to have, as a Black woman, the opportunity to earn wealth and sustain that wealth through generations.
I want you to have a monologue, Peggy. I want you to name this person, living or not, and this person has inspired you so much. Who is that person, and what are you saying to that person?
It would be Tamala Mann, and she's a gospel singer, but her story of, rags to riches and coming from where she came from and where she is now, and the inspiration that she brings through her songs is amazing. Her humble approach, her spirit. I would just love to sit down and talk to her about what it took for her to come from where she came from and exist the way she exists today, and offer any support I could offer to help her in her journey to continue to be that inspiration to all of us through her song.
Speaking of inspiration, tell us your story, Peggy. Why do you do what you do? Tell us the backstory.
I come from humble beginnings. I come from Gary, Indiana. I am the oldest of two beautiful brothers. And my parents came from the South. They came from Forest, Mississippi. They moved to the North through the Great Migration. And they worked laborers. They were laborers, and they provided for our family. I don't remember lacking for anything. They always provided for us, and they always made a way. But I saw how hard they worked. And the thing that they instilled in us as children that I remember is that they always wanted us to, get a good education and get a job. And so my story starts there in Gary, Indiana. Growing up, I can only remember that for whatever reason, I knew that I wasn't going to stay there. I needed to get out of Gary and move to a space where I could be able to do a lot more for the world. I always thought that I was going to do something special nationally. I just didn't know what it was. And so I remember when I was about 4 years old, someone asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, I wanted to be a teacher. And, I remember when we were kids, me being the oldest, my parents bought us a blackboard. And I remember I used to play school with my younger siblings. And I remember how much I loved teaching. later, going through school, I was kind of like, I didn't like any kids to be left behind. And so I realized that I had the gift of being able to make things that seem complicated simple. And so I ended up helping my fellow classmates understand certain things and help them get their homework done and that kind of thing. So I was always helping, I was always teaching, I was always encouraging. And so then as I got to high school, I went to the counselor and I talked about what I wanted to be, a teacher. And they said, hey, you don't need to be a teacher. They don't make any money. You should be a business owner. You should major in business. So even though I had 2 music scholarships one to Florida A&M and one to Texas A&M, I went to Indiana University, majored in business, and didn't take those scholarships, which was an opportunity that I think that was a miss, because someone should have told me that even though you have those music scholarships, you could still major in music while still studying business, and you could have still done multiple, opportunities. And that didn't get to do that. So as I progressed, I got my degree in business, concentrated in marketing communications, and I moved forward to moving out here to California, where I worked in business. And I worked in multiple areas: retail, travel, banking, leadership in terms of managing people, worked in pharmaceuticals. All through that journey, it kept dropping into my spirit. God kept telling me, you're a leader. You are a facilitator. I need you to support people, women who look like you. And through that journey, I was almost always the only Black female, or the only Black person in the room. I kept figuring out, how can we get more of us in the room, at the table? I'm taking all the experiences in my journey, the ups and downs, the hardships, the things that I've learned, and I want to be able to pass that forward to women who look like me. And so that is why I do.
How do you make impact daily?
I make impact daily, one by one, one-on-one, by sharing my story, educating the community about the plight, about the status of Black women, whether it be that I'm talking to one of the cohorts in our class, in our membership, mentoring one-on-one, encouraging, counseling, looking up information, researching, putting it out there through the organization. I believe that OMG Women Outreaching Women is making an impact on our community in terms of educating our community on the status of Black women and how they can help support us, get us to the next level.
Share a story since you've been in business that has really and you don't have to mention the name, a woman that you have come in contact with that you have really made a difference in her life.
I'm thinking about several people, but I remember there was a lady that came in that had some hardships in her life. She'd had some personal issues with relationships that she was struggling through. And I don't believe that she really had reconciled it, even though she trusted God and she trusted that He was taking care of her. And I remember she came and we worked together as peers. And every day she kind of complained about her situation, the past relationships, and she really hadn't moved. It was keeping her from moving forward. I continued to encourage her about how awesome she was and how experienced she was, and that she was a light, and that even though she had these struggles, she was somebody. She had it going on. She was smart. She was really good at IT and analytics. And I said, use the gifts that you have and move forward and share those gifts with the world. And don't let anything stop you, not even what happened to you before. Utilize those experiences to help others, maybe keep them from having the same experience, or if they have gone through it, you can talk about how you've made it through. And you know what? Over time, she really shined, not only with our organization, but in the community. She started doing some Instagram lives and she started just really talking about her experience. And she said that really enabled her to release all the guilt and all the shame and everything that she was carrying because of that relationship situation. So I'd like to, again, always, as much as possible, encourage, move on, move through, utilize what's happened to you to tell your testimony, to share that with someone else that can help someone else. That's really what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Talk about your top two mentors or influencers and what lessons did they teach you?
My top two mentors, there's one that always talks about making sure that I give myself an opportunity to learn and develop. I'm one of those people that I like it to happen like that. And so as I venture into new opportunities, I love white space because it gives me an opportunity to create something that didn't exist before and see it blossom and flourish. But I like it to happen really quickly, right? And things in life don't always happen as fast as we want them to. So I think I can ramp up in 60 or 90 days and something that takes 90 to 120 days or a year or two. But I want instant satisfaction. So my mentors always encouraged me along the way and asked me to look back and just say, look, Peg, look what you've already done in this short period of time. And say, give yourself a chance to give yourself a pat on the back about that accomplishment, but don't beat yourself up because you're not where you want to go. Another mentor always talks about the path of preparation and planning. So they say, once you have a dream, an aspiration, or something that you want to do, sit down and write out a plan. It doesn't have to be a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. I think we learned just from the pandemic that we don't need to go that far out in terms of planning necessarily, but certainly plan out, within a year, what your expectation, what your vision is, what you see, and then work towards that. What are the things that you need to do in the short term? And then take your plan and revisit it every quarter or so, every 2 to 3 months to see how you're tracking. So those are some of the things that I utilize that my mentors are teaching me that I have to work through my personal life.
Advice you wish you knew before starting your business.
How long it actually takes to ramp up a business. It's not a quick thing. And even if you have a great plan in place, expect your plan to be circumvented, have some obstacles along the way. But I wish someone had told me that I'm working harder now starting a business and sustaining a business than I ever worked in corporate America. It takes a lot of time. But what I will tell you is it is very, very rewarding to be able to work in purpose, to be able to work in passion, to be able to do what you love to do. It doesn't become work at that point, but it is an opportunity if you put your time in, your commitment, and the money that it takes to be successful, you will be successful.
You talked about the rewards of entrepreneurship, and we know that it's risk and rewards, and you said that also. Talk about your worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
I don't really think that there's a worse time in business because business has its ups and downs. If you want to say, what do the lows look like? Some of the lows look like when you are collaborating with someone and they commit to doing a certain thing and then they don't do it for whatever reason. Especially within a nonprofit, we have a lot of people who volunteer their time and their services, and they're all in on your mission and your vision. And you're like, yes, let's go. And then they have to take it back because they even realize how much time it takes, how much commitment it takes to even do that one little thing. So it becomes disappointing. But what I've learned along the way is you continue to collaborate, you continue to reach out, you continue to look for opportunities to work among different organizations and work with different individuals and work within their strengths and try to support and uplift them as much as possible. Those have been some of the lows, some of the disappointing opportunities that I've had. I would also say that it's been disappointing in terms of the financial support that I need. As building a nonprofit, it's really important to get donors, to get consistent donors, repeatable donors, to get sponsorship, and to be able to get grants. And what you have to go through to apply for grants, the things that you need, especially when you're building. You don't have 5 to 10 years of previous credentials, financials to be able to show that you don't have that. You have to be able to build that. And so literally, I've had to build my program, funding it from my own personal resources to get program started, to provide the data that is necessary, to have the credentials and the financials that are necessary to show grantors and or sponsors that, yes, we are serious about what we're doing with this organization, and we need funding to support this program. That in itself is disappointing. It's kind of like when you try to get a job, but you don't have the experience, but you can do the work, but you don't have the previous experience to show that you've done. It's kind of like that hamster wheel, and just trying to work through that. But God has told me, just stay the course. In time, eventually, you will get where you need to go. So I have no doubt that we will. I believe in this mission of supporting Black women. I believe that this entrepreneurship journey is going to be successful.
Starting a nonprofit, what is something that we don't know about the nonprofit industry that we should know?
Well, the misnomer about nonprofit industry is that they're not a business, if you will. A nonprofit is a business. It's just that the way that the accounting works out year over year is that the revenue that you take in is allocated to line items on the expense side going out. So you have a balance at the end of the year of revenue in, the revenue is allocated out. And so the misnomer is that you're not a business, that you don't have employees that need to be paid, that you don't have building or rent space, that you have operating expenses, that you need employees that are administrative assistants, that do social media marketing, that are helping you with data and analytics and all of those, the graphic designers and all of those things that you need to be able to pay people to sustain in the operation of being able to support your mission. And so I think that the misnomer about a nonprofit is, I think people start nonprofits and I think people look at nonprofits as an opportunity to service the community and to give back. But in that giving, it still has an operational cost. And so I want our listeners to know that even when you have a nonprofit, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a need for money and it doesn't have an operational budget. It just means that it is operating in such a way that it is not showing profit in terms of a ledger at the end of the year when you look at your accounting and so forth.
Peggy, what do you need that you don't have to move the needle forward in the nonprofit?
In my nonprofit right now, I need employees in those same roles and responsibilities that I just shared with you that we need, from data and analytics to a marketing support team, to volunteers, to the marketing directors, outreach community directors. We need funding to support our operations. We also need funding to support our program, How to Start a Successful Business. We have an 8-week program that we provide to Black women 18 years and older to help them start and sustain a successful business. We take them through an 8-week process. And at the end of the 8 weeks, the last course, they have an opportunity to pitch the business that they have put together for seed money for their business. We need that seed money. We need to have as many people in the program as possible, as many women as possible in the program. So we need women in the program. We need to sustain the program. We need to be able to provide seed money to the potential business owners that are in the program. And we need an operating funding to fund the back office, if you will, to support these women who are trying to start their businesses.
Talk to a younger Peggy. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I would tell me to get out of the corporate hamster wheel and get out and build wealth through entrepreneurship, through growing and building a business. Go ahead and build that corporation that you dreamed about when you were that 11th grader in high school and they told you to go into business. You are a businesswoman, but you're your own business. Build that personal wealth. Get out there and share your experiences with the community and help others do the same.
What is the biggest takeaway that you want our audience to leave with this interview?
I want them to know that there are Black women in America that are suffering because of the equity gap among Black women that is showing up in not only in their corporate payroll, but it's showing up even in the entrepreneurship. Black women start a business, annual revenue is averaging under $20,000 a year when a white woman is averaging over $100,000. There is a definite equity gap among payroll as well as in business. But I believe we can mitigate the problem by providing mentorship and education. And that's what OMG Women Outreaching Women does. We are supporting Black women to high levels of success by offering mentorship and education, specifically in entrepreneurship, while supporting them in other areas that Black women tend to need help in, which is also educating them in financial, which is also helping them with their relationships and helping them with their spirituality and helping them with their health. We feel that we put these 5 areas together, we can help them build and sustain successful businesses. I want our audience to know that if they support our organization, we will help and serve this underserved group of women, and we will help them to start and sustain their businesses.
Fill in the blank. I am better because.
I'm better because of you, Dr. Francis, today. I'm better because of this platform. I'm better because I have the opportunity to share my story, and I thank you for that. I'm better because I'm working in purpose. I'm better because I'm serving the community.
You have such an amazing attitude of gratitude. I want you to take that attitude of gratitude and have a thank fest. I want you to thank people and situations that have inspired and impacted your life in so many ways. Have at it.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to leave somebody out and somebody's going to hear this interview and they're going to say, she didn't thank me. So I'm going to thank my mom and dad. And first one, I'm going to thank the Heavenly Father, because without him, I have no my being. I do not have my being. I do not have my existence. And really, I can just stop there, because everyone and everything that he has put into my life, whether it has been good or bad, has made me better. And so I'm going to thank the Heavenly Father for his support, for his guidance, for his mercies, for his goodness, for his love, for his favor. I'm going to thank him for it. And everybody else after that, I'm going to say thank you. From my parents to my entire huge family, my immediate family, as well as my extended family. You know who you are as far as my peers that I've worked with over the years. I have reached out to you and you have supported me in this organization. Thank you so much for that. If I start naming names, I'm going to miss somebody, so I'm not going to do it. But they know who they are, for sure. Thank you to everyone who is supporting, and even the ones who aren't able to support but are supporting from afar. I thank you in advance for the gifts that you'll be giving in our upcoming fundraiser. And I thank you, Dr. Francis, for this opportunity to be able to share, again, my story about OMG Women Outreaching Women. I appreciate it so much. It's so important for folks to be aware of the movement that we need to take to support Black women at this time.
Becoming Peggy White. How have you become?
It wasn't always easy. My journey was different. I believe, coming from humble beginnings, and thinking about it was always there that I wanted to help people. It was always there that I wanted to support people. I just needed to figure out how to do it and what exactly my real purpose was. As I started going through and seeing all the things that were happening to me as a Black woman, I wanted to be able to make sure that women coming behind me or women that are even with me as peers, same age as me, I wanted us to have a community where we could and talk about those things so we could help each other. And I'm glad that I'm able to do this. I'm happy about who I am. And I love me. I really do love me. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do what I do.
What breaks your heart?
It breaks my heart to see people suffering. I drive down the street and you have a lot of homeless people in the Los Angeles area and everywhere, but I wonder what their story is, and I wonder how I can help. I wonder why they haven't sought shelter, and I understand some don't want shelter. In my church, at one time I was outreach minister, coordinator, and just try to do everything we could to help the community outside of the four walls of the church. And I think that that's sort of my mission as well, is to be able to serve the underserved. And so it breaks my heart to see people not have just basic necessities that I feel are basic necessities: food, clothing, shelter. I'd like to always be able to do something about that, which is again why it's important to help Black women in terms of, mitigating the wealth gap and just being able to share more of the wealth among us. Everybody deserves, an opportunity to live a life of the basic necessities.
What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is the opportunity to help others. I know I keep saying that and it sounds like a cliche, but I said it. I was coaching one of my clients the other day, and they said that we were trying to determine what type of business she was trying to start and where her purpose and passion was. And at one point, we thought she was a consultant. And so she had spent some time on the phone one-on-one the day before, all day. And she said, just sitting around all day, one-on-one calls, Zoom, this is just not me. And fast forward, we worked through that and we were able to determine what was her. But my point is, I love doing that. I love sitting down, talking things through, figuring out things, researching, making complicated things simple, and just communicating. I love that.
What is your zone of genius?
My zone of genius is, again, taking something that's super duper complicated and making it super simple, and then seeing that information, seeing some success with that, or someone gets success through that, figuring all that out. So my zone of genius is being able to make something super complicated very simple, and then taking that information and making something successful that brings a smile on people's faces, that brings them joy, that brings them an amount of resource or amount of wealth. That's my zone of genius.
Talk about mental wellness and entrepreneurship.
So important, which is why we have that health as a part of our pillar. Mental health, if you have things going on mentally, physically, you're not at 100% performance. You're not able to perform at your highest standard, the highest ability. I believe that mental health is super important, and I don't think we address it enough. And I think when we think about mental health, we think about mental illness, right? And have this taboo about, we can't talk about that. And I think in our community, we're bringing more and more awareness to our mental health and how important it is. And for me, mental health means that you are mentally aware, you are mentally energized to be able to operate in a way that allows you to flow without apprehension, without fear. You're not tired. You're able to think clearly. You're able to focus. That's what mental health is for me. And so if there are distractions, if there are problems or situations in your life that distract you, that are causing you to feel tired, you're not focused, you're not clear, you're bogged down, then you need to address those things. And if we're moving so fast and if we're doing things or if we're approaching things in a way that is not healthy, then we don't make good decisions. And that affects our well-being too. So it's really important to be clear, to be focused, and to really identify things that are keeping us from being all that we can be.
What does self-care look like for Peggy?
My self-care involves my belief in God. I believe in the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I believe that my opportunity to connect with the Heavenly Father is crucial to my existence. I try to spend that time with Him. I try to meditate within Him day and night, check in with the Holy Spirit, which gives me an opportunity to make decisions based on what the Holy Spirit, I believe is the Holy Spirit telling me. And I think that that's what really constitutes my being, my joy, my living. And without that, I feel like and I've been in that place where I was not connected this way. And I made really bad decisions. And more often than not, even if I'm going the wrong way, just tuning back in and checking in with God and asking Him what His advice is and what is His will for my life. Life is so much better. And I will never go back. So that's how I'm rooted and grounded at this point.
Legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the person or woman who elevated the world to the status of Black women, and that I was a catalyst to supporting Black women entrepreneurship, supporting Black women to getting the capital that they need, and supporting Black women to get the education and mentorship that they needed to be successful. And that this movement of Women Outreaching Women, the organization that I founded, was an opportunity that moved a nation towards supporting Black women to levels of success.
Peggy, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask this question and answer it.
You know what? The only question that comes up that you didn't ask me because it was so deep was just thinking about what motivates and inspires me. And what motivates and inspires me, as I've probably already answered, is being able to support and help people, family, and putting God first in everything that I do.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If it's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Rapid Round of Fun?
I'm ready.
Your ideal car.
My ideal car. The reason why I laughed is because I've had some cars that didn't go, like they were constant maintenance issues. So I would just like to have a car that is maintained and going to go when I need to go. But if you want to ask me maybe about a brand, I like the Mercedes.
Your favorite holiday.
Christmas.
Your favorite color.
Blue.
Your first job.
Babysitter.
Your favorite comfort food.
Dark chocolate.
You relax doing what?
Walking and hiking.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Jennifer.
Your favorite dance song?
I want to dance with somebody.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Salmon.
Workout or hit the couch?
Workout.
Peggy White, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and to do business with you and to support your nonprofit organization. Leave all your social media handles.
All right. So we can be reached at OMG Women Outreaching Women.com or OMG WOWHQ.org. They can actually reach me direct at 818-518-5287. Email me at Peggy White at OMGWOWHQ.org. Our social media handles are OMG WOWHQ. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I believe, are the same handle for all locations. And again, the email is Peggy White at OMGWOWHQ.org. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Francis.
Thank you, Peggy. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.